Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us. I am the Fairy Godmother. Of course, you will recognise me from such films as Cinderella and books of Cinderella. I am the one who does all the lovely, magical, wonderful things, brings good wishes and lovely things and flowers and dresses and carriages. And is there something the matter? Maybe it's because I have not introduced my esteemed colleague, Maleficent. Would you like to say hello to the boys and girls?
Hello, beasties. Are you being good? I hope so.
Yes, now, since we've been hanging out lately, Maleficent, I must admit things here in the world are not as tickety-boo as I would like to see them. So if I didn't know better, I think it would be something to do with you.
And do you?
No
better. Well, I want to make sure you're not worrying, children. It's not a curse, and everything will be fine. You have my word on it.
I'm very pleased to hear that. I think we should perhaps cheer the kids up. Now, you brought a book all about not worrying, haven't you?
Oh, I did. About somebody who worries a lot, and it never does him any good. Shall I show you?
Yes, please.
It's called Mr. Worry.
Mr. Worry by Roger Hargreaves. I do love the Mr. Men book. Will you please read it to us?
Of course. Now then, this is what not to do, children. So Mr. Worry, as you can see, is blue. He's always unhappy because he is worrying all the time. And here he is.
Oh dear, and look, it's raining, just like most days in the UK.
That's very true. So, poor Mr. Worry. Whatever happened, he worried about it. If it rained, he worried that his roof was going to leak. Look, it does look like it might. Dear old Mr. Worry. If it didn't rain, he would worry that all the plants in his garden were going to die.
Oh dear, he's not a very glass half full kind of guy, is he?
No, me and the fairies will obviously take care of that, make sure they grow. If he set off shopping, like a lot of people are doing right now, he worried that the shops would be shut when he got here. And then when the shops weren't shut when he got there, he worried he was spending too much money shopping.
Well, amen to that right now.
Maybe he bulk buys. What do you think?
I do hope he doesn't bulk buy, because that is very selfish.
Yes, it is. And Mr. Worry would worry about that too, I would say. And when he got home with his shopping, he worried that he'd left something behind, or that something had fallen out of his basket on the way home.
Let's hope it's not loo roll, but if that was the case, he could probably just follow it all the way home, couldn't he?
Quite possibly. Although someone would probably get it before he did.
I think someone would have used it by then.
That's disgusting. And when he got home and discovered that he hadn't left anything behind, and that nothing had fallen out of his basket on the way home, he worried he'd bought too much.
I do hope that's none of you out there.
It better not be. I can turn you into a goat. And then he worried about where to put it all. Life was just one long worry for poor Mr. Worry. Look at his little worried face, children. Look at that. Does that look like anyone you know right now? On the next page, it tells us that he went for a walk one day. He was worried that he might walk too far and not be able to get home. But on the other hand, he was worried that if he didn't walk far enough, he wouldn't get enough exercise. Look at him there. He hurried along worrying, or you could say he worried about hurrying, and suddenly he met somebody else. Mr. Bump.
Mr. Bump?
Mr. Bump, this is what it looks like. Covered in bandages, but not worrying about it at all. He just bandages himself up and gets on with it. I'm very worried about you, he said. Why is that? Said Mr. Bump. I'm worried that one of these days you might get hurt, he said. Don't you worry your head about it, replied Mr. Bump, and went off, tripping over his own feet. And Mr. Worry went. There's Mr. Bump falling over. With a smile on his face. He's used to it, you see. There's somebody else. He met Mr. Noisy. Mr. Noisy has a very big mouth. He's not very troubled about keeping things to himself. And he says, "I'm very worried about you." "Okay, are you ready?" "Why's that?" said Mr. Noisy. "I'm worried that you might lose your voice," said Mr. Worry. "Don't you worry your head about that," said Mr. Noisy. And he went off. Clump, clump, clump. Look at his big shoes. That poor little worm. I think he's probably from my kingdom, poor little thing. Mr. Worry went on. He met somebody else. Another person you might have met recently, Mr. Greedy.
Oh, I've met Mr. Greedy, all right, in the supermarket quite a few times.
Eating all the pies. And the pasta. All of it. He met Mr. Greedy. "I'm very worried about you," he said. Look at Mr. Greedy there. My goodness me. "Why's that?" asked Mr. Greedy. "I'm worried that you might eat too much and be sick," explained Mr. Worry. "Me?" replied Mr. Greedy. "Eat too much? Impossible." And he went off for lunch. Mr. Worry went on. I don't think he has any worries either, do you?
He's thrown caution to the wind.
Absolutely, in every single way. Oh, here we are. He met a wizard. A wizard that likes to cast spells.
I've met him.
Have you?
Mm-hmm.
This guy here?
Yes, I have. Yes,
Have you?
yes, it's a dear friend of mine. Yes, I've met him. Yeah.
Very good. "Hello," said the wizard.
Oh,
"Who are you?"
He didn't sound like that.
What did he sound like, Fairy Godmother?
Just a little bit lower.
Let me try.
Yes.
"Hello," said the wizard.
That's it.
Is that right?
It's uncanny.
"Who are you?" "I'm Mr. Worry." "And you look it," commented the wizard. "Tell you what," he went on, for he was a helpful sort of wizard. You're going to find a lot of helpful people around at the moment, hopefully, as well.
I have found the best of people and the worst of people, but mainly the best of people.
Good. Jolly good. Which includes me, of course.
Yes.
"Why don't you go home and write down every single thing that you're worried about, and I will make sure that none of these things ever happen."
Jolly
good. Does he like that when you met him?
He was very jolly.
Very good. He does look very jolly. Look at his little jolly face there.
And very wise.
And short-sighted by the looks of it too.
A little bit fat.
He smiled. "And then you won't have anything to worry about, will you?" Mr. Worry smiled. It was the first time he'd smiled in a long time. In fact, it was the first time he'd smiled that year. He hurried home in great excitement. Look at his little smiley face. That is the first time in this book that he has smiled. And that's because he knows he doesn't have to worry. When he got home, he sat down to write out all the things that worried him, just like the wizard had said. It was a very, very long list. And then he went to bed and had the best night's sleep he'd had in years. Look at that. Quite like his duvet cover. Very, very nice.
That look is on trend right now.
Even the wallpaper.
Very retro, very vintage, very now.
Are you sure?
Yes. The 70s are all the rage now.
Maybe in your house, Fairy Godmother. The following morning, the wizard came round to collect Mr. Worry's list. "My goodness me," he said when he saw the size of it. "However," he said, "leave it to me. I'll go off and make sure that none of these things ever happen." And off he went. Have you seen the size of this list?
I'm a bit concerned that he's written it on toilet paper. I think that maybe perhaps he could have used normal writing paper. Would have been perhaps a little bit better idea this
You're
time.
right. Maybe that's what he did with all of his stockpiled toilet paper. And off he went with the list. "Nothing to worry about now," he called over his shoulder. "Nothing at all." Mr. Worry heaved a sigh of relief. That day was the first day in Mr. Worry's life that he didn't have a single thing to worry about. And the next day, and the day after. On Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday, Mr. Worry didn't have a care in the world. A bit like you, Fairy Godmother. Look at his happy face, look. Can you all do a happy face like that? And jump around. No, not on the sofa. I can see you. Just a little happy dance. Better, much better. But on Monday morning, he was a worried man. Oh dear.
Oh dear.
Do you think you know what's worrying him?
Toilet paper shortage?
No. Anything else?
He's still blue?
No, I don't think so. He went to see the wizard. Oh dear, said the wizard when he saw him standing on the doorstep. Oh, what's worrying you? I'll tell you, said Mr. Worry. I'm worried because I don't have anything to worry about. And he went home to worry about not having anything to worry about. And that's the end.
Sometimes you just can't help people.
That's true. But do make sure, if you're ever worried, maybe you could write down, or get your mums and dads to write down all the things you're worried about, and then fold them into a little roll, put them under your pillow, and maybe the wizard will come and take your worries away.
Or a fairy.
Possibly.
I also am in the dummy extraction business. Sometimes people put their dummies or their teeth, and I fill in for other fairies, and I remove the dummies and the teeth, and I put in money and little gifts and things like that.
So that's you, is it?
It's not always me. I'm not the tooth fairy. I'm not the dummy fairy, but sometimes they are just so busy with teeth and dummies that they just can't do it, and they ask me to fill in. That's one of my roles.
Oh. Lots of part-time jobs then.
Yes, I don't keep the teeth or the dummies. I pass them on to the dummy fairies and the tooth fairies.
Oh.
They've got storage facilities for that sort of thing.
Okay. Well,
That was lovely. Thank you so much.
you're very welcome.
Well, boys and girls, there's no need to worry. We're surrounded by people who love us and who are here for us. There's always a little bit of magic to help us out as well.
That's very true. And shall I tell you a secret?
Yes.
Well, you already know it, of course.
What is it?
Children, do you know who the most magical creatures are? You don't? What was that? Mermaids? Yes, mermaids are very magical.
They are.
Unicorns? Yes, they're very magical too. But no, the most magical creatures are children. Did you know that? My little beastie, Aurora, is the most magical creature I've ever met, and I'm the queen of the magical creatures. And the reason you're so magical, children, is because your imaginations are unlimited. And that is where the true magic comes from, children. Remember that. You have the power in you to bring all the magic into the world that you could ever want. But never forget, always hold on to it, and you'll be fine.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful wise words from my wonderful friend Maleficent. Maybe you didn't start this curse after all.
Of course I didn't.
Hi there. You are really friendly, aren't you? Yes, that's okay. Now I was thinking, it's letting me hold him. And we do hope you will all join us in another video. Thank you for joining us today. See you then.
Goodbye,
Bye-bye.
beasties. Goodbye.
Goodbye. I'll say the last goodbye, okay? Goodbye.
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 Farewell.
Goodbye.
Farewell.
See you.